I always wondered about this dichotomy. The way I'm expressing it now is immediate experience versus extrinsic experience, let's say. And I was thinking about it like, if you think about, say, human ancestors who are really like super appreciating their internal experience versus like our human ancestors who are very like external, always thinking about like what they could have next, not necessarily appreciating what they have, but always wondering like what new territory they could conquer, what new resources they could utilize. Like, I think you can see where I'm going with this, and it's pretty obvious that like the external peoples, you know, dominated and led to all of us. Now, I'm not saying there's not a few like internal experience genes within us, but it's interesting because I feel like so much of like the meditation and self-help community is all about like helping you appreciate your experience, like have gratitude. Of course there's the manifesting and like extrinsic, like seeking outside, like gathering resources and goals unto yourself. But it just makes you wonder if there's like a resistance to appreciating the moment because like fear-based, grasping-based culture has been so dominant on the world stage for since prehistory, really. I'm sure, there were some super chilled out cavemen, but most of them probably didn't, live to create us. So it just makes me wonder. We're like so many people are consciously claiming that they're seeking this inner peace. Um, but I don't know. I feel like this dichotomy is part of the reason why I have a hard time like really letting myself drop into that worldview and mind state and goal set of like wanting to be more and more like present and peaceful and all that, because as I mentioned in my other video, like you wonder about places like Tibet, which in the popular imagination and my imagination have this like peaceful kind of contemplative um mystique to them. Now I'm sure the actual history of Tibet is full of violence and war and domination just like everywhere else in the world, but that's neither here nor there. So I was just wondering what your thoughts are. I'm sure this is not something that's been wondered about for the first time. Like having like how do you in your worldview and mindset come to terms with like the seeming dichotomy between kind of grasping greed and like inner peace, feeling like you have enough. Yeah, I was listening to this lecture yesterday. It was going in a million directions, but it ended up in AI. But I mean, they had kind of similar questions to me about the the dominator culture has always won, the like more and more and more culture has always won. So how do you yeah, they were talking about corporations, and a corporation that's like prudent and cautious is generally going to lose to one that's reckless, especially if they're being reckless with other people's money. What's the word? Privatizing their gains and socializing their losses. In that type of environment, it pays to be aggressive. It pays to like always be in that more and more and more state. So how do you compete if you're not in that state? And like the social worlds, the global worlds, um, for average citizen, like you can kind of choose your own adventure, right? But in the direction of society, which is the most important thing to all of us, because there's nobody escaping like the consequences of societal decisions. How do we like create a society that is more um, appreciative and like cultivatory, um, kind of nurturing like what they have as opposed to expansionistic, always wanting to grab more and like worry about the cost and future generations later. Because if one culture starts behaving that way, they are going to lose grounds to cultures that are not behaving that way. It's like so many people thinking short term is going to screw us in the long term, but in the short term you win. And when you keep winning and winning, economically or socially or whatever, it's going to be hard to stop that and risk losing some ground. So anyway, I think I've made my point clear enough. I could talk all day, but the point is just, to hear people in the comments and hear your thoughts, and other people's, feel free to link me stuff, because it's just kind of one of those dichotomies that just sticks in your brain. You know what I'm saying?